I'm just really excited to get into this message today because I feel like Spirit has put it on my heart to stop and think about how today is the day that some of the best news, some of the completion, there was a piece of the puzzle that was delivered to me today that affirmed everything that I sought out to define with this channel, which was sort of this cyclical process of manifestation and the cycles and seeing a bigger map of things, and using this space as a tool for myself in the future to gauge how realistically long it takes to bring something down. But essentially, I have no problem sharing this praise and this affirmation, but God really is showing me a career that I got a second step like interview, sort of more locked in, like you're the candidate we want to go with. So now we're just like in the dating phase where we're like, is the energy there IRL? So I'm really, really grateful because it's a deep manifestation of what I think I was trying to bring in like 2020, and now it's like finally matured, finally I match and reflect what I was trying to ground down. I think I needed a little bit of a maturation. But essentially, yeah, the job is ironically like 5 minutes from where Dennis just got his new career started, and then we were looking at this house that's actually right in the center of both my job and Dennis's job, also like 4 minutes away, 3 minutes away, type of thing. Like you could like bike to work type of thing. And so at this point, I am just really ecstatic, I guess, because only Spirit could have done this. Like these things that are coming in for us, we had no grasp or idea, but they did provide a future where it's like everything that I said I was going to be, I ended up actually being. And thank God it wasn't through my own sole effort. Like it was a collaborative effort, at the least with me and Spirit at every moment. So today is a really huge day. Today is about so much. It's about, joy, and it's about gratitude. It's about telling you that it happened for me finally, that everything that I was prophetically speaking to, as I was also simultaneously like acquiring the knowledge that comes like out of my own mouth before I'm even aware, like it's so special. This whole time period has been so special, and I realized that in hindsight, I'm so proud of all the times that I just tried to be as happy as I could, and tried to view this as positively as I could, because I know I made personal decisions on this journey that I shared very candidly with like this community, which at this current moment is just like me and all the energies that want to be here and that will be here and that will be called into this space and that will really resonate. And I hope they feel like spoiled. I hope that, I just know that if there were ever to be someone else besides myself who was in these messages, I mean, outside of like myself and my partner Dennis, like if there was anybody else to find them, I hope that by the time they get to it, there's so much to get lost in. And it's almost sort of my goal or my vision with this installation was to make some sort of like spiritual library, and just start working in that way and in that space. And it's funny how this kind of comes out chronologically, but I think by the end of this, it'll just be this like organization of clips. So I'm so grateful for that, and I'm so grateful to have all of this information saved, because I'm even thinking about how in the future, like I could even go back and like do the birth charts of all of my videos, you know what I mean? If I were to like know what time certain, so I should like start taking times, but I'm starting to really think about how this is going to come to life. But it's so beautiful because so that's really, really affirming, knowing that like whoever in the future comes across this me and feels like remotely like, oh yeah, that was like really profound and provocative, that whole space that you just created, like they would also feel like, oh shit, there's a lot here though that she's taken very seriously. Like these are all organized videos that follow, like you can start so much to celebrate. Like, I mean, it's a big deal. I have 51 videos. This will be what, 52, which is a 7, which is just got me all in my feels about how 52 videos connects me to you. And I'm doing this really for myself. Like, to be honest, I really, really needed this during this time period, this type of work. And I, got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm so hyper specific about how it needs to be and what needs to be covered, and I have a lot of sensitivities, and I really like for people to keep it like objectively focused on this being a discipline and this being like holy sacred word, and so there's a lot of me that really needs to like keep certain things in check so that it doesn't become distracting for someone else who's like trying to have an uninterrupted connection with their divine power. Like, that's how I feel like my videos would activate you. It's not because they're not predictive, they're not there are spaces that you go into where I kind of hold the space like the Aquarian, but really you get to fill the vase with whatever you in spirit want to talk about. So one of my videos is like, this realm, we're stepping into something, but immediately, the feedback that I've gotten has only been from one person, whoever tried to. So shout out to Dennis, because he's the only one who really knows and about this channel super heavily. And yeah, but from what he shared and from what my experience is as a viewer of my own shit, because like once I feel like it's a very different, channeling is really interesting because I don't always feel super consciously like there is real spirit in these vibration and these words and spells that are in my heart to share, because I've opened up that receptor, but 700. But I feel like, to be very, very, very honest, a lot of times, like when I'm here, this is like a big trust exercise. It's like for the duration of however long the video is or the message is, it's like I am just trusting what's coming out of myself 100%, and I feel like that surrender state is like channeling, and I think that a lot more people could access it. It takes a lot, to get comfortable. I mean, this is probably my third year really like using divination tools and like studying and things like that, and oh my goodness, I'm so excited because there's so much more to do, but I think the purpose of what I serve and what I offer here allows that process to be very independent for me and protected, so it's not like I'm really even in this space sharing with you guys like what I'm working on, like as much as I do share. I feel like it's not really like a space where I'm sharing what I'm working on and with spirit one-on-one. Like, it's really, like I said, very Aquarian. This is a space where I'm gonna just carve out the time, and you can say, use it as the excuse, like Alexis has, these videos, they exercise aspects of myself that maybe I didn't realize like really should be more important for me to like connect with and exercise. And so because we're doing work in these spaces, you're doing work, now you're painting, like I might be giving you the coloring book, but what is it? Bring it to life. And so then that's where you in spirit are really like hearing some of these channel messages and are able to really like reflect on why spirit brought you here. And I think that's the core of this channel, is like always being aware of why you were brought here. Like, I hope that this is my prayer for this channel, that I hope that every single vessel that comes across this space feels like they leave knowing why they were brought to the space. When there's so much to consume nowadays, and there's so much that isn't this, that isn't a quiet, reflective, meditative space, that isn't about letting the world know that you're in a quiet, reflective, meditative state, but it is about the fact that there's nowhere better to be. Like, also, this space is the funnest place for me. Like, this vortex, and this connection, and this sort of psychic process, production process, which is really low quality, which I also think is like so incredible, and I'm so grateful already to be able to know that I can look back at this space and that I'm really doing this, and that I really like knocked down walls that I literally like, because a few years ago I was not trying to be on YouTube, even though I've been on YouTube since like 2008, 2009. Like, we can pull up the accounts, they're still there, and so, making and producing things as a 4th grader was like on a dial-up computer with a giant wire running across the house, like we were using Windows Movie Maker to really get the girls right. You know, I just saw 1010. So to come full circle and to know that, you know, broadcast has always really been important to me, because we are all in some way broadcasting all the time. I mean, I think a lot of my placements make that practice much more in focus than maybe like it would need to be per se just for the average person, but I do still think that what I do is intrinsically what all humans do. So if I need this space, then you probably need this space too for yourself. And one of the things that I think the most valuable feedback that I've been getting from Dennis recently about how he's been responding to the videos just as like a long time subscriber, you know, he's holding it down, bro. Platinum membership. He's just like, yo, like, he's starting to really talk about how he's like, bro, like, he's really talking about his connection with God now. Like, he's really like, yeah, but you don't know. Like, he's more in it for where he goes with God when he's listening and tuned in to the messages. And that's what I want, you know. I think, and that's not just intrinsic to my channel, but I do think it's a responsibility that so many people rest on their laurels about, right? We have a responsibility to perform our best, to give our best when we're dealing with sources, messages. There is something intrinsic in me that is really related, I feel like, to my Mars energy. That's like, I want to really make sure that I'm as conscious of what I'm communicating to you and as clear and as equal as I can be in the parts that I give to myself when I'm sharing, so that there's never imbalance in me that then therefore would broadcast imbalance. And let me go ahead and plug this in before we have an issue. Thanks everybody for being so chill, because the messages are still in flow. Don't y'all worry. Don't. Not that anybody was worried at all. But we're gonna just sideways, it's all right, a little madhouse energy, but yeah, it is all very real. It's all really in real time, and I think there's a level of authenticity that's kind of been in this whole space. So those are my reflections on what I'm now ready, I feel like, to call in. And that was just a good affirmation because Dennis just popped in and I sent him a message earlier, just and the message maybe I'm feeling called to share was really about me affirming in him, because this morning, you know, there was like clearly an energy with him, and I know he'll be okay with me sharing this because it's like he was just reflecting what we're all going through, right? But like there was such an energy that he was feeling, I think, that had been looming maybe from the night previous, or maybe from even just like sometimes, you know, when you come home from work and you really don't feel like you've energetically like cleansed yourself. I think we're getting back into that space where, you know, where we are being reminded via Saturn that the maintenance is about like regular upkeep, you know what I mean? And so for a lot of us who may have really, like, Saturn is harsh either way, in the sense of we're going to make sure that we understand this lesson about how to take care of things. But I think that you know, this was a time of like collectively where it's like you see certain things flare back up because of what we get loose on or what becomes subconscious. We see, like, looking at what happens to things when they move to the subconscious side of your brain, to where you're not actually thinking about the thing. You're just like interacting or engaging with it without any intention. And so that, or not, I don't want to say without any intention, but without any conscious thought. So when things move into the subconscious, like, how do they look? And I feel like that's just a deep message for the collective right now, because I think we're just watching certain things like again, like God's like, I can flip the light switch on, I can turn it off, I can turn it on, I can turn it off. But regardless of when God turns it on and off, you also have a glow setting. You're always glowing, right? That inner light, hermit energy, right? So your internal star is always there. But for some of you who's diminished, when the lights go out and your inner star, your inner authenticity is diminished, the light is out, or as dim as it can possibly get without being visible to the eye, it's dark and desolate. You can't see where you're going, and things get in the darkness. There's the illusion of difficulty, scariness. And so I feel like for a lot of spaces, it's become really, really important for people to recognize like how much your subconscious upkeep that you were doing, like you were healing in equal parts. And so again, we talked about the downhill advantage in the last video, but we're also talking about like, yeah, people might have looked like when we were talking about directionals, I think that was all really important because you're seeing that there are incompatibilities from things that like you're attracting or you're meeting at a certain point, but you're realizing, oh, we were just headed in a different direction. So I think that's all really, really important. You know, you're going to realize the direction you're actually heading in. And so there were so many illusions because, you know, is the moon moving across the sky, or are we spinning, you know? So you can kind of, you can look at it either way, but the reality is both are doing their own independent. So it's really just about like your perspective is, I guess, the biggest thing that really would matter. And so, yeah, this is one of those times. Let's take a collective water break. I just feel like, yeah, there's so many downloads without even having to really do much. But I think I'm going to use the Cook's Tarot, actually. I always love using this one. It's nice. It's very, they're like really kind of weird cards though. They're like, I kind of feel like they're the like material of like children's poster boards, like weird laminate. But nonetheless, they're like massive. But I really like the book. It's always really interesting. So we're gonna get 3 major energies from right now and see what's what. Let's see. First card out at 1700 is the Ace of Wands. Bottom of the deck, the High Priestess. Okay, let's start with the messaging, shall we? Wow, that's awesome. So awesome. Okay, so this is the Arcanum number 2. Zodiac affinity is the moon. Hello, Cancer new moon. Today happens to be the Cancer new moon transit. It's going exact here soon within the next like 24 hours. So very, very synced up to where we're going to feel what the High Priestess is always seeing, right? Like I think that connection is being made right now. It says, night is falling and a crescent moon is moving upwards in the sky. Through the filmy curtain of a restaurant window, we see a woman partially revealed. The lines of her clothing seem to melt and blend with the folds of the loose drapery. The open sign is lit, and she is busy lighting candles, preparing for the first customers of the evening. Didn't I just go through a whole mantra what I speak? This feels like a business opening. Like I'm preparing to turn the lights on. Like, okay, people, we're about to turn the lights on. Like, I feel like I'm about to turn the lights on of my business right now. Like I'm preparing for it, and I'm so grateful that my viewers are gonna like receive this like in real time and know that yes, I was calling you in, I was calling you here, we've been talking, we've been connecting, you and I have been on this journey this whole time. Go back, watch this library, come back, tell me how much we're in the same bag, and let's start the community go global. This is Divine Feminine getting exactly, she was making and writing exactly what she wanted to live out, and now she's living it out. And it's of course related to the moon because it was a cycle. It was synced up. You were planting the seeds with the moon, so of course you had to wait for the moon cycles because that was the timing you set yourself on, and it's just perfect. It's perfect. A small orange cat is watching these activities as he is never very far from his mistress. This is a very understated image for one of the most important figures of the major arcana. But the High Priestess, for this is who she is, likes to keep a low profile. Isn't that like the number one requirement for me in this new cycle? Is like, I'm really trying to be low key. Like this Cancer season to Leo season is actually me trying to be like ducking, like I'm trying to stay low key, bro. I know who got all the aces. I know when to fold them. Like we know, you know. Revealing her secrets only when she is ready to do so.
this is what I mean. Like, I feel like energetically I'm ready to finally reveal this. Like, I really feel that change of heart, like, because I'm getting, which just meant because I was getting stability. Like, as long as I wasn't stable, I knew it was still time for me to study and just keep making and preparing this library. But now that I'm back in my stability, it's like the library is developed enough that I can just keep going at my natural pace, and like my viewers will never catch up to me, because you could like binge watch all of this if that's what you wanted to do and be up to speed, and it doesn't matter, right? It's like all for the better no matter what speed you go at this. Or if you feel like, damn, I'm set because I can only get through one of these videos like a week, bro, because it's got so much for me to unpack. Like, that's what I'm talking about, bro. That's that good shit, because I want this to really hit for people, because it hit for me. Like, it was really me out here having to like read for myself in like the trenches, bro. Like, I want this to be connecting. I want this to be humbling, because I'm going to bring you through the whole journey when this is now something that I can put more time into, at like a production level. So the key elements. Curtain. The curtain is used to represent the veil, as in the secrets behind the veil. A veil is usually seen as a barrier for a person, place, or thing. The idea is that to part the veil, we will reveal the secrets. A bridal veil is traditionally a symbol of virginity, and for the bridegroom to raise the veil implies a conjugal union. The phrase "to draw a veil over" means to conceal or keep certain facts from public knowledge. To go beyond the veil means to enter the holiest of holy places in the tabernacle or temple. To cross over the veil means to enter the unknowable state that follows death. The veil is then the barrier between the land of the living and the land of the dead. In tarot archetypes, the high priestess is the keeper of the secrets that lie behind the veil, meaning that she alone knows how to access the wisdom of the ages, the universal stream of consciousness, knowable knowledge, otherwise known as intuition. Remember when we talked about what I do here is I tell you, hey, there's another future version of you, and they're on the other side of that veil. They're telling you shit all the time. I can't tell you what exactly you're gonna be, but you like, I'm sitting here prophesying shit for you, and you're like, how are you prophesying shit? How was I prophesying shit for me? Like, I'm just as shocked as you are. But it's because that other person, my high priestess energy, right? Like, I have that overactive third eye chakra. We talked about it, but it's been 22. We've been in connection, and they can tell me you're gonna need to prepare in this way and this way and this way for what's coming next. And so then I just do that. And then you see how it comes across as prophetic in this third dimension, but really, like, the way that I see myself is like really unoriginal. Like, I see it as like copy, paste, read instructions, do the instructions. Like, for me, it's that visceral. Like, it's like my guidance really just comes across as like what I hear and see. So I'm just like, right. I believe it. I think the biggest energy that the thing that comes with like my own ascension for me, based on work I've done in past lives, is that like I just really listen to it. Like, I think I was just someone who was born without really like ever questioning, like at a very true core, like guidance that I'm given. And like I hear my intuitive voice as like a real deal, like, yeah, you know. So I think that's the only thing that ever really like maybe would be innately like something that was special or tied to my energy. But I also think there are plenty of people on this planet who also like have that to their own degree. But I'm just saying, like, in regards to like what I do here, like, again, I don't, like, I always tell Dennis, I'm like, it's almost funny, like, also like the art that I create, it just seems like the way that I get downloads and the way things that are like come across in my sight through my third eye, I can really see things and then just create them, like create what I saw, and in that way it doesn't really, like, that kind of process feels like very like, it's almost as if like I saw a picture of something and then I created it. That's how it feels to me. Although it is God matter, it's not. It's actually from Malkut. It's from a different. It's from a different plane in the ether, and so I just feel like a lot of times when we all open up to that ability, like collectively as a race, as time evolves and like we evolve, like we'll see that like the things that I was doing, like everybody's like, oh, she was really like one of the first. It may appear that I was one of the first people, but it's something we're all doing. Again, consciousness is really the observation of the thing. The thing is the thing that we really want to know about, right? And so consciousness is just sort of the byproduct of, it's the constant state that you have to be in order to see the thing. And wow, underneath the high priestess is the Ten of Cups, like a very fulfilling new start, like a very off the grid, because the high priestess is the underground queen, bro. 2444. She is the underground queen, and
it's because she knows how to really make people feel something, you know. Her guidance, her wisdom, her quest, what she shares with you leads you to real results that you feel connected to because of this work. And I think that that's what if I could give anything to the planet right now, it would be to make more people feel good things about their own ability to navigate the lives that they are creating, that they created, that they brought into. That's it, you know. And when we talk about that veil, like, that's how simple it really is, you know. I think half the battle is just believing that there's something on the other side. I think that's the biggest thing for people. I don't think the concept of a veiled reality is that hard. Unseen and seen are not that. I mean, it's like, okay, if you can believe in the seen, you could probably believe in the unseen just as much. That's how my brain thinks, you know. And so when I think of veiled consciousness, I'm like, oh, well, then all you'd have to do is believe in the whole. If you believe in the whole, then that means you believe in the infinite unknown that you don't know. Just about like all the infiniteness that is you right now, there's also the infinite that's unknown. What it could be, what is yet, what is without form, because it hasn't been brought to form, you know. I think that's all the veil represents, and that's the whole point of magic. Is not about wibbity boobity 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 shoobity, like just like pimping God out for like wow factors and like, oh my god, like that's not what this is all about. It's about getting people to be more conscious of holistic movement, one giant celestial body, you know. Where are you located on the celestial body, you know? Where are things located within yourself? You have to be able to have that knowledge that there is this whole complete experience. And so it says, let me just go to the card meaning, because I just feel like reading the curtain part, because there are candles too, but I feel like the curtain part is like, so card meaning. The High Priestess is known as the Queen of Borrowed Light. Oh my god, did I not just go through to tell you, like, I always like gag on myself because I'm like, bruh, what I'm doing isn't really, like, it's borrowed material. Like, that's why, like, the art that I make, I can't really take an ego in it. I can't let certain shit just happen, because we're talking about holy text. We're talking about sacred work. Can't everybody just be handling God's word? Because y'all some of y'all aren't even synced up to God. So not everybody can just have that. And so a lot of times when I think about it, I'm really, any fortune or success or message that you think is coming from me, any sort of profound insight that you feel like is really real, like it's not even like this person is, because let me tell you, I really walk the walk. Like, I have been, like, to get this much clarity, some of y'all would have to let go of a lot. I'm not even gonna hold y'all on that. I'm not even gonna act like I haven't been, like, because I don't know about a lot of things that y'all would be like, wow, she doesn't know that. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about the world system you're in, because I've been unplugged from the world and it was a hard eject. So to walk this sort of life, it is a very shamanic life, but it's because I can hear things, because it's finally quiet enough. Like, it's a very, very, very small circle. My reality is really, 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 really small, because I'm really, really having to listen at this time. But the benefits are, I got to get out in front of the experience to help others, right? It's just like, wow, that is so sweet. But this is truly what it is, right? Like, you're coming into this, but we can just be in infinite gratitude for the people that did know. Like, this is why we're going to eradicate jealousy. We're going to end all of that, because it's not a real paradigm, and it's an illusion, because the facts are of the fact that, like, someone had to walk a certain life before certain things had to even fall into place in order for us to catch each other. And so my hope is that you're inspired that in whatever way in your life it may be, get out in front of something and catch the experience of others, catch the experience of the whole. Use yourself, sacrifice yourself to a beautiful purpose in that way, right? Because some people are like, why do we have to do anything? But I'm like, no, really, because we are in a state of emergency of our own doing. Like, we just keep choosing to fuck stuff up, like, as a collective. Like, if we don't, you know. So it's really funny. Dennis just said, "Make me new again" type beat today for show. That's the message. But yeah, you know, get out in front of something, and if you're inspired by the way that, like, you know, this information makes you more thoughtful or more reflective on what you're doing and what you're creating for yourself, and if it's in alignment with what you actually want, right? If this experience makes you do that, then like be inspired to go into your real life, which is what you probably be doing anyways, because God would be giving you like the synchronicities you're hearing. I don't know what they are. You know what they are. I'm probably saying something, or like you're probably seeing something in the background, or like a certain type of plant that's like, oh my God, I was just looking for. And it like I wouldn't know. That's your guidance trying to tell you, right? Like we don't see angel numbers don't have an inherent objective meaning. They are used as monikers to symbolize a divine spirit, to show you through combinations a bigger moving picture, a bigger entity that is intimately connecting to you. So 222 doesn't mean anything. I mean, unless like you always just see 222, and that could be a nod to like, I always see 222, but it would really more so be about the fact that you're seeing a synchronicity, whatever it is. It's like the synchronicity tells you like, yeah, how many times, like sometimes spirit has to be very ooga booga booga, because you're gonna, like one day you're gonna realize, oh, I'm really goofy for like tattooing like 111, because like I realized I lived in the Matrix, which is literally a numbers paradigm. So no shit, like everything is coded, like matter form is all like density, numbers, angles, and so physiologically this whole world, of course I would see synchronicities. It is built up. That is God is the phenomenon of change. So we're with everyone every step of the way, but we're really elevating the conversation about what spirituality really is, because spirituality wouldn't serve anybody if it's just another thing that we do that doesn't actually, like, I mean, there are real things going on. 3131, right? We talked about that. 3131, 448, like there's a solid density that we are going to, like our work, we're going to be showing this work. So when you think about life in that way, when you think about the collective consciousness, the human race, and what role we play to the greater race of this earth, and the creatures that walk this earth, like I think there's just a really big call to really like understand role, be more conscious and thoughtful, and those sorts of things. So yeah, it's just really crazy, but that's what I mean. Like we're like at this channel, like I really like, my goal here is that it really feels like something really real. But anyway, it says, the high priestess is known as the queen of borrowed light, right? So that's what we were pretty much talking about, is how like what I do is really just borrowing God's light, because this does not belong to me. This is information that I can see, sure, so that might be my gift, is that I'm a seer. Like I can see certain things, or hear certain things, or know certain things, like hear certain streams of consciousness. That might be a gift based on like what my soul's been through in the past. But essentially the light, like what I'm telling you, that does not belong to me. It doesn't belong to anyone. It's free thoughts. These are free sounds that just are everywhere for you to pick up and dial into, depending on what your frequency is and where you're at. So any light you're getting from me is borrowed from my source. So let me just get you in touch with the plug if you really want to get off this life shit, you know what I mean? Like, so that's really where we're at, right? I might just be the queen of borrowing light, and I'm happy for that title, because that acknowledges that like my shit comes from somewhere that I'm deeply in touch with. Like, you want to know the most valuable produce, or the most valuable like goods and services, are the people that are deeply connected to the source of where their things come from, and that source is connected to its own divinity through its own story and narrative. So like everybody really needs to be close to the root of things, which can start in just like being the person that's really in tune with yourself, which is what I really promote here, because that's really all you can do, right? You didn't actually come here for your kids or your husband or anything. You came here for you, okay? You came here for you, and you came here to do your soul's evolution. So just be mindful that as you're moving forward, the more shit you add to make yourself responsible for, spirit is not gonna turn it down on your personal work, which is why some of y'all might go and acquire big fames and fortunes, and what are you still realizing? Wait, spirit's not like turning it down on the like grilling me. You're not gonna be able to outrun your dharma. You're not gonna be able to outrun your karma. You're not gonna be able to outrun any of that stuff. So you can have 15 kids to cultivate what you think the human experience in life and family, whatever that is, right? But really it doesn't really matter, because you're a soul at the end of the day. So it's really just about how that stuff informs and grows you. So just know that what you take on doesn't stop with you, the test you gotta pass on your own just to keep making it to the next level in life. You wanna be here, you gotta show up like you wanna be here. That's what we do on this channel, you know what I mean? If you wanna be here, you gonna have to put up, you want to strap up, and look, we're gonna have to be here, people, you know?
and I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to act like this isn't a real daily commitment, that sometimes you won't see movement for 4 months. You might be in agony for 4 months, but you have to keep, because that might just be the product of how low you let it get. Like, how low can you go, you know? And I realized how low I was going with myself, how much I was letting go for myself, how much I wasn't really connecting or caring or showing up for me at all, dude. That's why it's so, don't be mad at God, don't be mad at the universe, don't be mad at nobody else for how long it took you to get where you needed to be. Let that be a lesson to you. Let that motivate you to be like, see, and it only took me that long because that's how long I went without giving a shit. We were all asleep, bro. I'm not judging anybody, but I'm saying there's been so many opportunities for you to be like, this doesn't feel good. Is there another alternative? And God is like, yes, choose you. Choose yourself. Come, let's walk this path. Shall we? Come, join us. Yes, there is something else. You don't have to believe in what you're seeing and choosing to like listen to. Like, it's because none of it is connected to what you're really experiencing. It is a simulation. And this is like the most like simulation talk you hear on this channel, because I'm not even with that. But the simulation, the believing that what they can manipulate, the stage you're looking at. When they say the main stage, the world stage, like toxic, like we don't need a world stage, you know what I mean? And some of these things, if you really understood the laws of the universe, don't really matter. They don't really change, because Spirit is trying to activate you to realize you have to take responsibility for where you are. You might be born into a specific town in a specific state or country or region, or wealth or economic status, and it doesn't matter, because Spirit's literally saying, at the end of the day though, you're meant to self-actualize and say, if something that I'm a part of or attached to or connected to or choosing to do does not feel good to me, I need to realign to what resonates, right? Because some of us sit here and don't think about it. Like, some of us need to do the readjusting, right? Like, for example, like, we don't understand how the simulation like can also support us. So for example, like, I don't know, I'm just coming from the perspective of the United States. Like, when you think about states as a whole and why states like certain states believe the same thing within their population. So this state might feel this way, that, and it's all informed about the geography, the history, like what's actually there. Are there major metropolitan cities? Like what the history is really what's going to inform why it is made up of the constituents that it is. So with that being said, if you're in a place that does not resonate, there is this understanding that I'm not even advocating like up and move, but I'm advocating for to start now, getting into your vortex and assembling the things that you do want. What would you want to feel? What does a safe environment feel? Because also some of us are gonna have to stop drinking the Kool-Aid, right? Because I did the whole thing, bro. I lived in every corner of the United States that you could possibly live in a very short span of time, you know, and I probably moved like 11 times in the last 5 years, literally. And so it's really, really important, I think, for us to recognize like what we think we need, what like lifestyle, why we do certain things, like what actually leads to like the health and well-being and the development of your soul. Like, we're restructuring everything, we think. You know, because when you think about how people live, and like, for example, you know, like I've lived in major cities where it's like, why would anybody stay here? You know, because that was certainly something I was asking myself. Like, if you could take your dollar and find somewhere more spread out with more space for you and your family, like, it's a deeper conversation about how are you actually showing up. And I think when we talked about the return of the divine masculine within every single individual on this planet, right? The divine masculine of all the animals, all the organisms, like the divine masculine is returning home to self, is finally showing up and saying, we cannot let this chaos keep going. The father archetype is the one who says, hell nah, I'm dad, bro. And what dad's about to do is say, we are not going to have chaos in this home, okay? Everything is good. Get it together. You know what I mean? Dad archetype sets the standard, our expectation for ourselves. We all agree upon what it is, and dad is like, let's enforce that. Because you need that constant stability, that aspect that says, this is what we're committed to. This was the vision. We've got to carry it out, though, right? Divine masculine energy.
That's in everybody. We're not talking about real dads. I'm not even talking about nuclear families or anything. But I'm talking about fatherly, divine father energy. That's why certain religions, you see a lot of dogma regarding like the father energy, because the father is over identified, because the father is pitted at in a lot of like Judeo-Christianity sort of Catholicism, like in all of these spaces, the fatherhood is the thing that the course corrector, the putting us back on path, because it's patriarchal, so it's like divine feminine is temptation and darkness, and then so now it's against, it's light versus dark versus like components of the exact same thing. They're equal energies of just a reflected energy for balancing purposes. So there's actually, so now that there's bad and now there's above and below, right? Divine father energy was like always about like getting in line. So we are moving from the age of Pisces, which says, idolizing God out there, which was everybody falling in line, to an external set of the regimen, the protocol. It's all of those things when we think about what the divine, like over dependence on the divine father, but then the divine masculine now realizing like they've been away from home for so long because they've been so fixated on the rigidity of what they were focusing on, then now it's like, we've got to come, like, while at the house, like, their house is running it back. Like, the divine masculine was so trying to manifest things and getting so worked up and over creating things, or over trying to just do, like, it's baby daddy energy, like single dad, like, it's like, I'm loose, like, I'm not focused on this, and the whole house was falling apart. This is your home, your temple, your family, the family of you, all the aspects of yourself being a one like family, right? So imagine the divine masculine being always out of the house, and there was no stability. And I feel like that drought really, I felt like my divine masculine was like walking out on the family so many times. And I think, here's the high priestess, finally able to open up shop, because I feel like the divine wand, dad has returned, the new inspiration, this is the very phallic, like the ace of wands, right? Like the divine magic stick has returned home and is ready to ignite the flame. It's ready to like turn the stove on, she's got the manpower to like turn it on. Like, you're finally back home doing things for yourself, applying all that great energy. You were doing it, but it was all out there and it was never in here. And so I feel like the high priestess is just so grateful, and she's finally able to open up and bring the vision to life, because you need the manpower, you need the chef in the back, you need to know that they're going to be whipping up in the motherfucking kitchen for you, so that we can serve a full restaurant all day. And I feel like a lot of us are going to feel that in our lives. Like, we're going to really start to see, like, it might be disruptive, right? Because dad coming home might really like force a lot of conversations, anger, resentment. I mean, dad coming home after being out on the town all this time is not always like the easiest feeling, So yeah, there might be words to say, but I think igniting that is the right of the divine masculine, to ignite the conversations that need to be ignited, to get, people to really start cultivating this new life, because we are open for business. So I'm very excited about this channel. I feel like that's where I'm going to stay. I always use my peeing as like a gauge here, but I'm really excited about this channel. Very soon you're going to be seeing different things. I hope to really be able to vlog. We're going on a trip this weekend, on a road trip, so very excited to probably share some messages while we're doing that. We're going to my favorite, most inspired, most spiritual space. We're going to New Orleans to go visit our grandparents. We're super, super excited about it, and I'm just being guided. I'm not overthinking anything, but I just know it's going to be a really celebratory time, and I'm so excited because driving is always just so grounding for Dennis and I. But yeah, we're going to go and we're going to do that, and it's going to be really, really positive, I feel. So pretty excited, but yeah, we'll see what's going on. And yeah, so there's going to be a lot of really beautiful messages, a lot of new scenery. I hope that I can give you guys some really good news soon, and I'll definitely follow up on all of my personal changes, because this channel is really going to change. I think we're coming to the end of one cycle, one iteration of this, because now you're going to go into the post experiment life, which is like how this all worked for me and how I like changed. So I'm really excited to have sort of this proven formula business kind of plan flesh out based on this test run. I'm really preemptively welcoming everybody and anybody who's like seeing this 4444 on the clock, but anybody who's seeing this, I'm welcoming you because I've anticipated exactly how you felt, and I've been excited to release this for myself just to feel that again too. I think there's so much in this. So that is going to be the message today. So Dad's returned home and we're opening